I was like,
I
it
was
just
like, it just
okay. So here we recommended that it should be a selling price of 35 that should be chosen since it gives a higher expected return. But it doesn't ask you whether it would be a right technique or not. If it examine if it was a requirement, it was there in the requirement, then you could write that since it was a new product, definitely you won't have the past data for that. So definitely expected value is used when the project or when thing is recurring. Okay, is of a recurring nature. So it won't be much useful in that case. But here it didn't ask you in that. It was just a 3-mark requirement. Briefly explain the maximini. I told you already. And okay, now maximini. See, now we have the payoff tables, right? We did the expected values. So maximini I need to apply. So I would calculate the minimum return in each one of these cases, and then I would go ahead with, I'll choose the maximum of the minimum, right? He chooses the best of the worst case scenario. So I want to analyze what are the minimum returns against each option for all the scenarios. Okay, so what is the minimum return here? Would be 740,000. And what would be the minimum return here? Would be 742,000, right? And Maximini would choose the maximum of that, and so definitely he would go for 35 since this gives more expected return as compared to the option which gives a return of 7,40,000. So I'll choose the maximum of the minimum return. See, name is telling you need to calculate the minimum and then choose the maximum. For example, if it was maximax, yeah, I would have calculated the maximum return. Here it would have been 1 3 this one, and here it would have been this one. And then for maximax, I would have chosen the best of the best case scenario, and I would have gone with the selling price of 30, one who would have been a risk taker manager, right? And if it asked about the regret table, I could make the regret table and then choose the maximum regret and then choose the option that gives you the minimum regret, that actually minimizes the maximum regret. Okay, and what the factors I was talking about, see, that's how you would write. I've already discussed all those things. Customer may decide to buy more or less. That could affect. Major customer can go into liquidation. Yeah, you could go into liquidation as well. Competitors may strengthen. Yeah, all those external factors. Some technological change can also have an impact and make the your product services outdated, and then definitely there'll be some uncertainty in the budgeting process. So workforce may not perform as well as expected because due to time of illness or anything, due to lack of motivation even. And the workforce could go on strike. So social and political unrest could also affect the productivity. Material can increase in price because of global changes in commodity prices, and company import and export change in exchange rate can affect the prices as well. Or machine, you may not have the machine capacity as you at what you thought it to be. So machine may fail to meet production schedule because of breakdown or something. So all these things, and it's an exhaustive list, right? You can think of as many, and then you will get the equal marks. You can think otherwise, and then still, if it's logical, you would get equal credit for that. So that's how you will answer this question. Here's another question. John has a factory capacity of 1,200 units per month. Unit cost him 6 each to make, and his normal selling price is 11. However, the demand month is uncertain and is as follows. So it could be 400, 500, 700, 900. The probabilities are as in. He has been approached by a customer who is prepared to contract to a fixed quantity per month at a price of 9 per month. So this is over and above this contractual requirement. This is the normal demand he has, and this is a customer is approaching and approaching to provide him a fixed quantity per month at a price of 9 per month. So now he need to look at his capacity, at the demand, and then definitely the customer is prepared to sign a contract to purchase 300, 500, 700, or 800 units per month. So the company can vary production levels during the month up to the maximum capacity, but cannot carry forward any unsold units in inventory. So it's gone. It's a perishable inventory or something like that. So basically, I need to determine for what quantity John should sign the contract. So what is the decision I want to take about what quantity we should go for the contract signing, whether it should be 300, 500, 700 or 800. And then there are certain uncertain outcomes. The demand, we know at times our demand, external demand could be 400, 500, 700, 900, and then their capacity limitations as well. So I need to calculate the profits in all of these cases right here. So first I will take 300, and then in that case it could be 400, 500, 700 and 900. So think the total of the total capacity. Total capacity is 1200, right? John has total capacity of 1200. So here how I get the total profit in this scenario, if I choose to sign the contract for 300 with the outside customer. But in that, the total capacity is 1200 and my external demand is 400. So 400 and 300, and there's no capacity limitation here in this case. But at times there could be capacity limitations. So in that case, I would just fulfill the contractual requirement, and then whatever is left, I'll just take the differential with the capacity I have, and then I will be calculating what would be what would I be able to sell externally, right? So the two kind of contribution that would arise in this case, and that would give me my expected profits, and then I can apply all these rules here. First I need profits, right? So here if I choose 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 500, 600, 700, 800, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9, 10, 11, 12. In either one of these cases, I can well meet the contractual obligations as well as I can sell externally. There's no limitation in that. But have a look at here in 500 and 400, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, here it's fine. Here it's fine too. But here in 500, it's 700, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Here it's fine as well. And what about this? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Here it becomes 1400. So what I would do, I would externally, I would sell, contractual obligation, I'll complete the obligation, which is 500. And here, how much units I could sell externally? Now it would only be, though 900 is required, but I would only be able to sell 700 now. And then based upon that, I would be calculating my contribution in that case. Okay, so that's how you will do make a payoff table like that. The question is whether I should sign a contract with the customer that of 300, 500, 700 or 800. My capacity, total factory capacity is 1200. I can produce 1200 in a month. But at times the demand is only 400. So definitely I cannot produce more. I will produce up to my demand. But at times my capacity is less and then my demand is more. So definitely after meeting this contractual obligation, whatever capacity I have, I will only fulfill that. And definitely the contribution would be coming against that only, right? Where demand is less and capacity is more, profit would be calculated as per the demand, right? But when at times I told you in this scenario, it's happening that after meeting 700, I'm only left with 1200 is the capacity. So 1200 minus 500, I'm only left with 700. Though the demand here is 900, so definitely my capacity is not more than that. So definitely I would only be producing 700, producing and selling 700 in this case. So it's not you'll take it separately. You will first see your capacity, and then from that capacity you'll be meeting your external sales, and as well as you'll be meeting those contractual obligations. And then I'll apply. See how I'm going to do that. Okay, now we need to look at the selling prices and everything. So it says unit cost him 6 in each, okay, and his normal selling price externally, in case of external, is 11, right? Here it is 11, so it's going to be 11 every time he takes, it cost him 6 to produce it, right? And into Here there's no limitation. There's no limitation in the capacity. I could produce as much as, but I won't produce more. I would only produce and sell for 400 definitely, because I won't produce more. I would only be produced as per my sales demand, and the demand is only 400. That's what I'll be able to get the contribution for, right? So it's going to be 2000 in this case. And then if I multiply it, Control C, and then I'll go Control V. See, every time it's 11, okay, I'm selling externally and it just multiplies it with 500 here, which is basically the demand. 5, 600, 700, 800. Again, I'm not short of the capacity here. 700, 800, 900, 1000. I'm not short of the capacity here. 900, 900 and 300. 900 plus 300, I'm still not short. I'm exactly up to the capacity. So definitely I can fulfill, in each one of the cases, I am able to fulfill my contractual obligations. Okay, 11, but here the price is not 11. Here the price is going to be, for contractual obligation, the price would be 9, but it would cost me 6 as well, right? So into 300. Okay, every time I need to multiply it with 300, which is my contractual obligations in each one of these cases. So maybe I can fix it so that it doesn't take much time. So this is the outcome in this scenario. In all these, the outcome contractual obligation is 300. Okay, and the contribution per unit I already calculated is 9 minus 6 is 3 per unit. So every time, see, it is being multiplied by 300, it is being multiplied by 300. Okay, so what is the total? Now I can sum it like this. This is the total here. So I'm done with one part. The other one is now 500. Now have a look at this. Now this is 500. First, I'm going to do the contractual obligation working first. Okay. So every time I get 9 and it cost me 6, this is the contribution per unit. And every time I will meet a contractual obligation of 500. I can fix it. You insert the dollar sign before the alphabet as well as before the row number. 1500. Okay, every time I get the same figure. Okay, I'm able to sell. Here 500, 600, 700, 500. In case of 500, 500, 600, 700, 800, and 900. Okay, I can sell 500 externally as well as I can meet the 400 externally as well as I can meet the contractual obligation, and still I'm not short of the capacity in this scenario. And also here, that makes the total makes 1000. So I'm not short of the capacity in this scenario as well. Okay. But here, in this scenario, 700 and 500, 700 plus 500, still I'm not short of the capacity. But here, yes, I'm short of the capacity. I'm short of the capacity. I cannot sell externally 900 when the total capacity is 1200 and I have to meet contractual obligation of 500 as well. So after meeting contractual obligation of 500, what I can actually be able to sell 1200 minus 500, I would only be able to sell externally 700, and I won't be able to meet this obligation of 900 here, which is my external demand. I won't be able to meet here. So let me calculate the contribution. Control C, Control V here. Okay, here it's fine. 11 minus 6 into this. Okay, I can multiply it here. Selling price is this and 11, and this is fine. This is fine here. Here I'm able to meet the contractual obligation, but here I need to multiply. I don't need to multiply it with 900 because I'm only able to get what? 700 in this case, because I'm short of capacity. I'm short of capacity. My capacity isn't that I'm able to meet the contractual obligation of 500 and still being able to sell 900 externally For that, I was the capacity required was 1400. However, I'm 200 short. So definitely I won't be able to sell 900, but 200 or less, which would be 700 in this case. Got it? Then Control C, Control V. It just adds up the total profit here. Okay. Now in this scenario, done with this. Now it was 300, 500, now it's 700. Now it's 700. Let me do this working first, which is going to be the contractual obligation, right? So every time I get 9 and it cost me 6, and into here the contractual obligation is 700 in this scenario. So I can actually fix it by inserting the dollar sign like this, and then I copy paste. It makes my work a lot easier. It saves me a lot of time. Okay, so you can see now it's fine. Now here I need to look at my capacity. That's 700 and 400, 700, 800, 900, 1000. Now it's fine. This one is fine. That's 700 plus 400. This, I'm not short of the capacity. 700 plus 500. Even then, I am actually being able to sell externally, as all of this meet all of the sales demand. And here 700, 700, no. Here I won't be able to meet the sales demand. Okay, so it would be 200 less again. So again, it would be 500 rather than, because 1200 is the capacity and 700 is the contractual obligation. So I'm only left with 500 in this case. And here again, 700 and 900. So after 1200 is my capacity. So after 700 is a must, I need to do that. So I'm only left with 500. So I won't be able to meet this demand of 900 here, right? Just Control C. Here I'm good. Here I'm good. I can just copy paste here, and you can sorry, I won't pick this. It just multiplies with this and it multiplies with this. Now it's fine. But here I need to make certain amendments. Now I can't meet 700. Here it would be multiplied with 500, and here it would be multiplied with 500 as well. And that's my thing, right? Okay, so 200 less here as well. And after meeting 700, 1200 minus 700, I'm also left with 500 here as well. Okay, so that's how I calculated the returns here. Then I can do the totals case as well. So these are the totals. And now the last one. Okay, the last one is 800, 800, 900 plus 400. So it almost there. Yeah. So I'll just multiply 11 minus 6 into 400. Okay. And then here as well, 11 minus 6 into, okay. Here, let me see. Let me do it again. So here, it's going to be 9 minus 6 into 800, which is my contractual obligation. Let me fix it. I need to insert dollar here. I need to insert dollar here. So this is it. I meet the contractual obligation first, and then I'll see what I can do here. 11 minus 6. Okay, and now I need to multiply 800, 900. It's fine. I can go with 400 here. But what about here? 800 plus 500 makes a total of 1300. So definitely I won't be able to meet 1300. So 1200 minus 800, I would only be able to 400. Let's multiply with 400 here. Okay, here 700 plus 800. Definitely I can meet that. For that I need a capacity of 1500, but I only have 1200, and after meeting a contractual obligation of 800 here, I'm only left with 400. And here as well, after meeting capacity is this, after meeting a contractual obligation of 800, in this case I'm only left with 400. So for all of these, the same would be repeated here. So I can just copy paste. So now I can calculate the total. The totals are here. I chose a complex question because at times it gets complex, and in the paper you just get scared to do all those calculations, right? So I'll just remove this, not needed now. Okay, now we have all the outcomes, and then I can put it here at their respective places, right? For 300, all the outcomes are for 300. So starting from here, 2900 against 500, this, fourth one is against 900 is this, and here as well I'll just put it this, and then this, and then 700 and here in 800 it is 4400 in each case. Now I can apply all these rules. First, I'm required to calculate the expected values. Okay, I need to know the probabilities in each cases. It is 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. Okay, and I can start writing the probabilities here. It is 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, and 0.1. So the probabilities repeats itself. So I'll just copy paste. Control C. Now I'll apply the formula once and it would automatically be calculated. See, this into this plus this into this plus this into this plus this outcome times probabilities in bracket close. And I got the probabilities in this case. This 3900. So I get here as well. So I get it right. See, get it right here. Get it right here as well. I get it right here as well. So which one I would choose, which project I would choose, 4400, 4500, 4400, 3900. I would go with 4500, which is basically the contractual obligation of 700. As per expected values, that's, I am going to go with this one, right? So expected values, I'm going to go with 700. One is done. Next, maximini. Okay, maximini, first I'm going to calculate in each one of these options, I'm going to calculate the minimum return. See, what is the minimum in this scenario? Look like this, right? 2900 here, 3500 here, 4,100 here and 4,400 here. So what I would choose, I would go with, and then I'll choose the maximum of the minimum. So I'm going to go with 800, contractual obligation of 800 in this case of maximum. And maximax here, the maximum is 5,400. I'll calculate the maximum return and choose best of the best, maximum of the maximum, right? Here the maximum is 5,000. Here the maximum is 4,600. Here the maximum is 4,400. And I'll just go ahead with 300 in this case. An optimistic person. And minimax regret rule, for that I need to make a regret table. Okay, copy these values here. Copy the regular table that you make once, and then you can make the regret table like this. So 4,400 is the option, and if I get 4,400 as well, I don't have any regret in that case, right? Or you can do it like this, 4,400, and you also get 4,400, you get no regret in that case. But if the best was 4,400 and you're only getting 4,100, the regret is 300. If the best returns were 4,400, but you only get 3,500 in that case, when the demand was 400, there's a regret of 900 in that case. So 4,400 is the best, but you only get 900 if you choose a contractual obligation of 300. So you actually lose 1,500 in this case. Then I'll have a look at the maximum in which the regret would be 0, the maximum one I need to pick. And the maximum one here is at 700, right? So here where the regret, the best is this, and if I also choose 700, so here the regret is 0. But if the best was 4,600, but I choose 4,400, which is 800, so I lose 200. If the best was this, so but I would choose 500, so what I get is 4,000 only. So what I lose is 600. The best was 4,600, but what I choose is 300, and what I lose is 1,200. So in this case as well, where the regret would be 0 is this case. The best is this, and I also get choose 500, so there's no regret. The best is 5,000, but I choose 4,400. The regret is 600. The best is 5,000, but what I choose here is 4,600, so the regret is 400. So what the best is this, but what I get by choosing 800 contractual, I sign a contract for 800 units. What I lose here is 600. So here the best in which I wouldn't have lost anything was 5,400. This was the best, and this is what I get. There's no regret here. But this was the best. But what if I choose sign for a contract of 500 units? What I lose is 400. The best was this. What if I sign 700? All I get is 4,600. So what I lose is 800. The best here wasn't 300, but if I sign for 800, what I lose, because I only get 4,400, what I lose 1,000 here. Now I need to calculate maximum regret in each the cases and choose minimum of the maximum regret, because the idea is to minimize the regret for a sore loser person. Okay, so I would first calculate the maximum regret in each case, in each one of this case. So here the maximum I lose is 1,500. Here maximum I lose is 900. Here the maximum I lose is 800. Here the maximum I lose is 1,000. Which is the option in which the risk is lowest? Like I don't lose much. That is 700. That is, yeah, that is 700. And in expected value, it's 700 as well. Okay. And next here we need to calculate what is the most that John would be prepared to pay in order to obtain perfect knowledge as to the level of the demand. There's a concept of cost of perfect information. Okay, how you would know that how much if right now I didn't do any market research, right? I didn't do any market research, and my expected value without perfect information. What I chose was 4,500. This was the best of all the projects I had. But what if I hire a market research and then I know for sure that which demand level it would be, and then I'm better to choose that which option I should go for. So in that case, I would have expected values with perfect information. Perfect information is the one which is 100% accurate information, but none of the information about future when we know with certainty there is this ideally perfect information doesn't even exist if it's a decision about the future. We are only number crunchers. Okay, we're not fortune tellers. Only Allah knows, God knows what will happen, but we try to make the best, try to apply the best techniques and try to take a best option available. Okay, but perfect information doesn't really exist, right? But for example, if I hire some market agency, okay, there's a cost to information as well. There would be cost of market research. Definitely I would only hire a person if I would know that after market research the expected values actually increases. For example, after market research what I get is 5,000, and before market research the expected values was 2,000. So what is the increase in the expected value due to, as a result of the market research is basically 5,000 minus 2,000. It is 3,000. So what should be the maximum I should be able to pay for this perfect information, or which would be the value for the perfect information? So it is calculated as expected values with perfect information minus expected values without perfect information. So that's the formula. And without perfect information, I told you that what we get is what we get is 4,500. This is expected values without perfect information. And for example, if I, after hiring a market agency, I actually know what scenario it would be, right? What scenario it would be. For example, if I know, ignore others. If I know that with certainty that the demand is 400, so what do you think? Which contractual obligation I should sign for? And I need to write my probabilities as well. There are probability, again I need to calculate the expected value, so let me write probabilities as well against each one of these options: 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 and 0.1. Okay, so if I know for certain that it's 400, which I'm going to choose? I'm going to choose which gives me the best return, and it is that of 800. So see how I'm going to calculate the expected values here. If I know it's 400, I'm going to choose this. Yeah, 4,400, this outcome, but its probability is 0.2. Again, I need to calculate the expected value, but here it is with perfect information. Previously, I was taking the average of all and then choosing the best. It was without perfect information, but I know now I don't need to look anywhere else to take the average or something like that. I just need to concentrate that I know for sure that the demand is 400. So definitely I'll go with 800. This is expected value with perfect information. Plus, if I know for sure that it's 500, which is which project I'm going to choose, which contract I'm going to sign for. Definitely the best in 500 is that of 4,600, but again it's not probable, it's not certain, it's uncertain, and there are only 30% chances of that outcome to come. Again, it's expected values. Same, you will go like summation p times x again, but here it's with perfect information. Now forget it's not 400, 500, it's 700 this time. And which is the best I'm going to choose in that case if I know for sure that this is the demand level after market research, right? So the best here would be 5,000. Okay, again, but the probability again is 0.4. And in the last one, if I know the demand is 900, which is the best option that gives me the best return that I'm going to choose, definitely I will choose, I'll go with signing the contract of 300 because that gives me the best. But again, the probability of that is only 0.1. So this is expected value with perfect information. This was expected value without perfect information. What is the value? What is the gain in the information? After carrying out the market research, what is the gain? What is the increase in the benefit is that of 300. So how much John would be prepared to pay in order to obtain that perfect information? So definitely cost shouldn't be more than the benefit I'm getting. And definitely I'll negotiate so that I have some more benefit. And same, I'm not paying out the entire benefit. I'm not paying out for that. So I can negotiate, but the maximum I would he should be able to pay is that of equal to the benefit you're getting out of the market research, and that is only 300. So that would be the cost he should be ready to pay. That is equal to value of perfect information. Okay, here's a question here. How I have calculated expected value without perfect information. Remember, I was required, when I didn't hire any of the market agency, I was required to calculate, and I was required to tell that under expected value, which is the contract I'm signing for. Yeah. And that in that case, I ignored what are the outcomes. I just took the average of all of that, just like in all the cases, just like here, in 300, in 500, and then I would choose the one which is the best, and it was 700. This, it was 4,500. So whatever is the expected value, which is the maximum of that, when you don't have any information, you didn't hire any market, any research analyst for that, that is expected